Hi guys, the gang's here. The iridiots are here. We've got loads of baldies, as far as I can see. We were talking about the lack of hair before we started. So we've got Dom, looking at my screen from bottom to top. We've got Dom McCauley on the bottom right hand side. How you doing, Dom?
All right, doing good.
Good. It's 5 a.m. No, sorry, 6 a.m. It's not that bad. It's 6 a.m. where Mark is. Thank you for getting up, Mark. Thank you very much. Mark is here. Mark Clower, how you doing?
Sleepy, but I'm here.
That's dedication for you, isn't it? And we've got Jam, the man, Rawlingson, up the top. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, thank you. Good to see you all.
Good. Just to clarify, Jam's the only one that can actually grow hair. So we would all look like monks, I believe, and Jam would actually have a blonde afro. That's what we decided.
Yeah, grey, probably grey, I think.
Okay, grey afro. All right, cool. So this is a one-off. We've been doing a couple of these lately. So this is a one-off show. This is bands that have never topped their debut album. That's not statistically or anything, by the way. That's not how many they've sold or anything like that. That's just our opinion, because even though I'm looking at my list, guys, I'm thinking you could disagree. I know that one of you is going to disagree, because I know that. And it's going to be Dom.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's going to be more than I don't like to say disagreements, but definitely this was challenging for me, because I do normally prefer a band's later work.
Yes.
Or sometimes I think the sophomore is much better than the first, but we'll see
how
it goes.
A lot of time a band only find their feet, don't they, after the debut, and maybe 2 or 3 albums in, and they start finding who they are and producing their best music. But also it does actually happen. It happens at first, and they produce an amazing album and can never top that. Obviously, all in our opinions. This is all subjective. I'm just about to write another one down. Right. Okay,
you just thought of one?
Yes. I did find this hard as well. And I battled with myself, thinking one of mine is almost very close, but it does top. And there's a few that I was like, because I battled, is it their best album? I left it off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's no point in lying to yourself. It's got to be the album that you think is their best. We all found it hard, didn't we, guys? Yeah.
Yep.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go around the houses. We're going to do 5 only, but there's going to be some honourable mentions at the end if you've got any. So I'm going to go what's easiest for me. No, in fact, it would be easiest for me would be to go first, wouldn't it? And then I wouldn't have to worry about like repetitive choices. But
that's not the easiest for you.
No,
because you'll get confused.
No. In fact, I'm going to go around the houses, because otherwise I will get confused. I'm going to go Jam first, then it's going to be Mark, then it's going to be Dom, then me. All right. Okay. What's your first? Is this? We're not going in choices of. I haven't done this, by the way. What's my favourite?
No.
Right. Good. Because they're so different. Obviously, that'd be really.
This was enough of a headache to have to put them in order. Jesus.
Yeah.
Exactly. So bands that we believe haven't topped their debut album, and we said we'd have to have like at least 3. They'd have to have at least 3 albums, because otherwise, it could be bands that only had 2, and that's a bit unfair. So, Jam first. What you got there, mate?
Okay, well, my first one's not controversial, because it's my opinion, but it's one that we could debate whether it's the first or second album is better. So I'm sure we'll have a few of these already. And we said we might perhaps follow this up with a second album's better, sophomore album's better than the first. This one's really hard. I had to really think about this, but I think this album, I absolutely love it. I loved it when it first came out, and then the second album came out, and that is Skid Row, the debut album. Now, I loved when the second album, Slave to the Grind, came out. They went heavier, which nobody thought they'd do. They got commercial success. Everyone thought they'd do the same, maybe even get more commercial, but they went heavier, and they blinding. I mean, I love Slave to the Grind, but I think for me, song for song, brilliant. Open up with Big Guns and Sweet, Midnight Tornado to finish with. And then he obviously got 18 and Live. I Remember You, great ballad. Obviously the anthem, Youth Gone Wild. Every song on here, Making a Mess, Piece of Me. I mean, every song on here is absolutely brilliant, absolutely great live. Obviously followed up with a great second album, and then of course times and music changed. Subhuman Race come out, not so good. And then obviously they have released other things in the interim period, but they are back now with Eric Gromwell on vocals. Yeah, perhaps the songwriter's not quite so good on this one, but I reckon the next one should be up there, but it certainly sounds like Skid Row again. So definitely, if you haven't checked out the new Skid Row, check them out. They play obviously mostly the first 2 albums anyway, stuff off that, but yeah, absolutely love Skid Row. The debut album. There you go.
Thanks, mate. I mean, I don't know if we should have an opinion on that, whether we a yes or no. I mean, I'm a no.
I don't think we need to go in. I mean,
okay.
We can have a discussion, but
it is a good album. It's a very, very fucking good album. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. It's not my. Yeah, but in fact, perhaps you shouldn't. You're right, actually, because if we get on to the second album's the best, you know, we could be choosing them, couldn't we? So, a great, let's just say a brilliant choice, Jam. All right? And
yep.
A brilliant album for sure, yeah.
I think we all like that album, don't we? I think we all know it.
Like it. Yeah, and I agree with you, actually. I think I actually said that on the new album. I almost, it's like they come together really quick and made this great album, but it's almost like, then Eric Gromwell, as long as he stays in the band, obviously, we know what Skid Row are like, don't we? And then he can put his own stamp on it as well, and hopefully it'll be even better. So yeah, agreed. Great choice, mate. Mr. Mark Clower, you didn't fall asleep while Jam's talking. That's a good.
No, I've got to say, out of all the topics we've tackled over the last 3 years, this has been the hardest for me. Most of the others I can instantly think of, you know, several options. This one, in fact, the first time Lee asked me about this one several months ago, I declined. I said, I don't know, you might better get some of the other guys on this because I can't think of anything. But he brought it up again, and 2 immediately came to mind, and then it took some pretty in-depth analysis on my part to come up with enough to even have a list here. So I'm gonna pick my most obvious one, go ahead and get it out of the way, because this is the one that I feel like maybe somebody else will have. Tesla Mechanical Resonance, 1986. The second album I would say was fairly close, but not really even a close battle there for me. Love this album from start to finish. It sounds just as good now as it did in 1986, first time I heard it. And I still play it very regularly today, and those songs hold up very well. I've mentioned several times I saw them twice when they opened for Def Leppard on the Stereo tour, and they were a really tough act to follow for Leppard. They kind of, we talk about Guns N' Roses, you know, kind of putting the glam thing aside. Tesla did it before Guns N' Roses. They came on stage. I vividly remember, this was the height of the glam metal, you know, image, and Tesla came on stage in street clothes, and you know, we had heard of them at that point, but they weren't really a household name, and they were amazing. And like I said, it was real tough for Def Leppard to come on after they did. So anyway, amazing. I feel like somebody will have that one, but I had to get it out of the way.
Amazing album, mate. Just fantastic. In the best year in rock and metal as well, 1986. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, good one, mate. Thank you very much. And that's proven, by the way. That's just not my opinion. That's a proven fact.
Fact. Yeah.
86.
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, excellent choice, Mark. Absolutely brilliant.
This didn't even have an album in 1986. How's that going to be the best year?
What you got then, Dom?
Okay. Oh God, I have so many that I could open with. I'm going to open up with this one just because. David Lee Roth.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
Eat 'Em and Smile was just a complete barnstormer. In my opinion, blew 5150 out of the water. exciting band, exciting tour, just amazing. Skyscraper, even though he had the same band, essentially he had lost Billy Sheehan. It just was not a follow-up at all. It just sounded like they didn't have the songs together really. You know, a couple big singles just like Paradise and things, which are great tunes.
Great song.
But as a whole, it just didn't have that energy. That just Eat 'Em and Smile just came out screaming, you know, like he had something to prove, obviously. And just one of the best debut albums of all time, I think. So yeah, David Lee Roth.
Excellent.
Totally gutted that I didn't have that down as well. So got to agree with you on that one, mate. That is one superb album. I mean, I even liked some of the Little Ain't Enough. I like that, but nothing compares to
the energy on that record.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Nothing like seeing the, you know, David Lee Roth's bare ass with that little towel thing hanging down on that Yankee Rose video as well. Absolutely brilliant. Yep, no, superb. Absolutely superb. Totally agree with that. Even Steve Vai's performance on the second album was nothing like it was on the first one.
Yeah, a lot more keyboards and stuff, and
keyboards and stuff. Yeah. Thanks, mate. Some excellent choices from all three of you there on the first one. But I did make a bigger list up to choose different ones in case you chose them, but I'm going to have to talk about one that you've already spoken about because I can't. So it was, I knew Mark would get in there with this one. I'll totally go with him on the Tesla one. And this is the one that I said to you, Dom, I think that you might disagree on because I think I know what your favourite one is. But
this is actually my third favourite Tesla album.
Wow. Wow. No, Mechanical Resonance, just excellent from start to finish. Even like, you know, like the little sort of how would you describe Before My Eyes, the closeout? It's almost psychedelic type song on the end there. That was even amazing. So different as well for them. But Too Late for Love, We're No Good Together, Changes is one of probably their best song I think they've ever done. So yeah, it went platinum as well. Looking into a bit of detail on it, they went platinum in 1989. By the time 1989 came, that's 2 million. Is it 2 million sales? I think that is. Yeah, straight onto Geffen, weren't they? And it was like, I remember reading about the band, and I think Jeff Keith was like, it was almost like he was just, someone heard him singing or something at work in a truck or something, because he used to work on a building site or whatever, and they was like, man, you've got an amazing voice, and the next minute he's in the band, and they just blew up, didn't they? But yeah, just amazing album. I had to talk about that one. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely superb. Tesla. Still going strong now. And still brilliant.
I actually heard Modern Day Cowboy on the radio the other day.
Me too.
First time I've heard it in a while, and I was like, man, this proves how well this album held up. That's the first song. Well, I mean, it's the first song on the album, but first song I ever heard by them. A buddy of mine at school back in the day gave me the cassette, and I said, "Here, take this home and listen to it." And that's, as soon as that song started, it was just, you know, spine tingling. And after all these years, that's still my favorite Tesla song.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how I first heard them, was on the radio, Modern Day Cowboy.
Wow. Excellent. All right, guys, that's the first round done. Jan, what's your second choice, mate?
Okay, I'm going to lose half of you here, and I'm going to have to talk about this. It wouldn't be me if I didn't, but Pearl Jam, obviously, 10. This is the redo from a box set. Obviously, it's not the original cover. That's the redo cover. But yeah, I don't know what more I can say about Pearl Jam's first album. I think it's probably one of my favourite albums ever made. Absolutely brilliant. Still sounds great to me. I don't try not to play it too much, if you like, you know, because I don't want to get to that point where I hate listening to it, if you know what I mean. But every song on here is absolutely fantastic. They never got anywhere near close to this. The second album's good. And I still like it now. I like some of the new stuff, but as I mentioned, All Killer many times, first album's the best. I mean, every song on here, Black, one of my favourite songs ever, is on here. Obviously, even Release or Porch, any song on here is brilliant. Obviously, everybody knows the singles. It's got the atmosphere, it's got everything. There's no albums that ever sounds like this, or probably ever will again. And yeah, definitely one of the best albums of all time for me. Definitely Pearl Jam and 10.
That was the album that I remembered because I saw your face when we came on the screen. I thought, oh yeah, fucking Pearl Jam, yeah, that's easily their best album. Brilliant rock and roll album, really. We spoke about that and we about grunge and stuff before, but almost just a rock and roll album and just like very 70s sounding, I would say. You know, more in that sort of sound. But yeah, what an album. Excellent. Totally agree with that one, mate. Brilliant choice. What you got there, Mark?
Okay, I'm going a little more modern with this one. Hard to believe it's actually 13 years old now, though. Ghost. Opus Eponymous. I think I'm saying that.
Wow. That's interesting. You like that one? Interesting. You like that one?
Get that right, but I gotta admit, my favorite Ghost song is not on this album, but as a whole, this is my favorite album.
Cool.
When I feel like listening to Ghost, I usually throw this one in because from start to finish, I love every track on it. There's nothing I want to skip. I first heard, I imagine a lot of people were probably the same way. I first heard of them when they were talking about it on that metal show. It was either Tim Florentine or Don Jameson, I don't remember, brought it up, and they described it as Merciful Fate meets Blue Oyster Cult. And I said, I got to check that out. And I don't think they sound like either one, but they have the melody, the creativity, the musicianship of Blue Oyster Cult with the imagery and subject matter of Merciful Fate. And they also kind of like Blue Oyster Cult. You look at Blue Oyster Cult's early albums, and you would think they were a lot heavier than they are, because they're very melodic, you know, very diverse types of music. And Ghost is the same way. You look at these album covers, and you think it's going to be fucking black metal, and it's not. It's, you know, very catchy, very melodic. I've never heard them on traditional radio, but I mean, they're other than the subject matter, it sounds like something you might hear on the radio. This very catchy band. I know they're an acquired taste. Lee, I think, can take them or leave them. And like I said, I like all the albums, but this is the one that I gravitate to. You know, just when I feel like listening to good.
Cool.
Yeah, good album. It doesn't sound like the others, does it? It's obviously, this is the first one. It's a lot more kick Hammond organs, and they're not certainly not as poppy, are they? But this is brilliant. I got this album when it first came out. I was into them to start with before we got hyped up.
About 13 years as well. That is a surprise.
Yeah,
it's mental. Yeah.
Yeah, that is wild.
Seems like it just came out a few years ago, but yeah, it came out in 2010. So yeah.
Yeah, mental. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah, I mean, they're a bit weird with me. I think I don't mind them. I quite like the last album. I think it's almost like I almost feel like there's a lot of other bands that are better than them. But I feel like the image is the thing that's made them, almost the contrast in the image is a thing that's made them successful. Good luck to them, though. Good luck to them.
Well, I think, Lee, I think also that the bands that they're influenced by and always compared to are not bands that are your favorites either. Like, you're not a huge Alice Cooper fan. You're not a big Blue Oyster Cult fan.
No.
Merciful Fate, I don't think you're a big fan. So so even where they're coming from, it's just not your cup of tea.
Agree. They are very catchy, though, in a weird way. Very, very catchy. Yeah, indeed. So yeah. Thanks, Mark. Much appreciated. Dom, what you got, mate?
Okay, this one was, as Mark was saying earlier, this took a bit of soul searching. But I am confident in my decision. But of course, this is only me personally. This is a band that's gone through all sorts of changes and genre changes and stuff. But for me, the first Wasp is the best Wasp.
Oh, wow. Controversial.
Well, you know, I know a lot of people prefer the more serious Wasp, you know, the Headless Children and Eternal Idol. And then even the later years when he's doing his Christian thing. You know, Last Command is a very good follow-up, but I just think that first one just has that indescribable thing about it, you know, when it starts with, well, in a perfect world, it would start with "Fuck Like a Beast," obviously, but the version that we, you know, that we all got, it starts with "I Want to Be Somebody," which is a fucking great opener anyway. Yeah, just the energy and the atmosphere, and you know, you can tell they are raw and hungry, and you know, they've been playing these tracks in clubs for quite a while. And they just have that kind of electricity, just fantastic. That isn't matched in the rest of their career. Sure, they got maybe more professional and more serious, but for me, the first Wasp album is the one.
I had it on my list, but I had to think about it, and I scratched it because I think probably I do prefer Headless Children, but it's certainly very close. Definitely up. But certainly better than Last Command. Put it that way.
I'm with you on that one. I used to.
Are you?
Yeah, I used to like The Last Command. I think it was only because I'm not saying I didn't hear any Wasp songs before The Last Command, but when Last Command is, I think that's the album I bought, and I loved it, and I fell in love with it.
Oh, right.
But even for a while, I liked The Last Command more because of that. But there's a lot more energy and heaviness. I think in that first one, the production's better. You know, the energy is better, and I think, like, you're right. You only I have to listen to "I Want to Be Somebody." The energy is just. It really did sound like they wanted to be somebody, and they meant it as well. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a better album without "Fuck Like a Beast" starting it. Actually, I think it would spoil it if it was on there now. I think "I Want to Be Somebody" is a perfect opener.
It is the perfect.
"Fuck Like a Beast" could perhaps go at the end, but I wouldn't put it first.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
it is a brilliant album.
Even though that's my favorite Wasp song. Yeah, you can't really beat "I Want to Be Somebody."
No, it's brilliant. Excellent choice. Well, so my next one is a bit of a super group, but they've had a few albums out, obviously. This one was in 1995.
Wow.
So it's Down and Nola. So, I mean, they definitely didn't beat. I liked all their stuff, but this one was, I think, miles ahead of everything else. It just came out of nowhere because it had that Anselmo, like, doing more singing was a thing for me. You know, I preferred him in Pantera when he sang and stuff like that. So it was the perfect album for him to sing on for me. And obviously with that sort of sludgy southern feel, just fucking brilliant. Some tracks that I love on that: Lifer, Howl the Leaf, obviously about their favourite pastime, smoking joints and stuff. Stone the Crow was a brilliant sort of ballad, heavy ballad, and Bury Me in Smoke is just a fucking brilliant. I probably mentioned it before, but if you ever see Bury Me in Smoke live at Donington, or don't think it was Download at that point, I think it was Donington. They come out, you see him play that, and fucking Phil Anselmo, they start playing the real heavy riffs, and then he fucking stops the song because the crowd ain't going mad enough. He offers them out to fight, like, says, if anyone's fucking looking at me, I'll fucking go. He's like, fucking, he's just like, yeah, fuck yeah. Then he starts the song again, and the crowd go fucking mental. It's brilliant. Check that out.
We watched it after you mentioned it last time. We went and watched it. So
mate, it's fucking brilliant, isn't it? He means it and all, doesn't he? Fucking nuts. But no, it's a brilliant album. Still, when it comes on now, I just love it. You know, and I think it was all in the middle of all the, like, the fucking, I'm sure the hip hop and metal started about that point as well, and like they were just like, fuck it, we're just gonna give it to you heavy, you know. Some amazing riffs on that album as well. So that's it. Down, Nola for me.
Cool.
Right on.
Number three,
right? Okay, I've just realised I haven't said the years, but I'm going to 1989, and this is the debut album from British band Wolfsbane.
Yeah.
Live Fast, Die Fast. Now, this when this come out, it's so fresh and so raw, and I mean, it's on Deaf American. Some people say the production's not great on it. I think it sounds brilliant to me, but go on. And some people think their second album, the EP, Kathy Wilson, was better. For me, though, this captures the energy of the live shows. I mean, I loved it. This changed my life almost. We were so obsessed with Wolfsbane. It should have been much bigger than they were. Obviously, wanted them to play Monsters Rock. They never got the opportunity, unfortunately. And then obviously Blaze left. But every song on here, Money to Burn, I like it hot. The ballady one, which I've forgotten, it says on there obviously, but Fell Out of Heaven, of course, Killing Machine, Shaking. I've got all the singles from this, all CD singles. It's got loads of the B-sides and stuff like that. I was absolutely love Wolfsbane, but yeah, they never got perhaps back to the heights of the first album. And yeah, I've seen him many times. In fact, hopefully Blaze being fit again, which I believe he is. They are touring the UK, so I should be seeing Wolfsbane in November, I believe, all being well. And just in case a couple of people across the pond don't realise, because they might not have been released over there, they have done 2 albums in the last 10 years. They did an album last year, so they have done about 5 albums now. They have done some new stuff as well. Released an album last year called Genius. So if you are a big fan and perhaps didn't know that, there is a couple of albums since they split up originally in 1994 or whatever it was. So there you go, Wolfsbane and Live Fast, Die Fast.
Cool. Jam, were they well known over there prior to his joining Maiden?
Yeah, Wolfsbane were a big thing.
I had never,
big-ish thing. They were British.
I'd never heard of them here until he joined Maiden, and I've gone on record, I love the X Factor. I'm not crazy about the follow-up there, but I've got that album. I hadn't bought any of the others, but I had never heard of Wolfsbane until Blaze, went up to Maiden, and so I went back and so I got to hear what he did previously. That album's got a little bit of a punk flavor, I think.
Yeah, it's got that raw energy. Yeah. I mean, Wolfsbane supported Maiden on the No Prayer for the Dying tour, which obviously exposed them to a lot more people. I was already into them at that point, but yeah, they went on the No Prayer for the Dying tour, which was pretty good as well. So that's obviously where they got to meet Blaze the first time, I guess. And because obviously Bruce left just after. No, sorry, he did Fear of the Dark, of course, but then he left not long afterwards. But yeah, excellent band live. I mean, maybe I'll have to rein it in a bit now. He's had triple bypass or quadruple bypass surgery or whatever it is, and obviously he was overweight. I think he has lost a bit of weight now. But
yeah, he looks a lot better now. So
yeah, he does. Yeah,
hopefully doing better.
I just saw photos of him at the Birmingham Iron Maiden gig.
That's right. Yeah.
He didn't have any interaction with the band, but he was just sitting there like a punter, like the rest of them. Yeah, I actually had that record in the States because. Okay. At that point, Deaf American was one of those labels that you just checked out everything they put out.
I agree. I was doing
really on a streak, obviously Danzig and everybody. So I actually had that, and me and a friend, when they were picking a new singer, we actually said, wouldn't it be funny that if they got Blaze Bayley because he looks so similar to Bruce Dickinson? Not thinking that they would pick him because, not thinking that they would pick him because his vocals wasn't going to fit at all. It was just a joke that, get somebody that looks just like him. And then they went and picked him. This is not going to work out.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed who looks like fucking Bruce now. Is that I put it on Facebook the other day. Kenny LaCremo out of Heat is starting to look a lot more Brucey when he was like in the 80s. Fucking looks exactly the same as him. Looks exactly the same. It's fucking weird. But, obviously, that wouldn't fit either. But
well, it wouldn't stop him. I'm sure.
No.
I don't know if y'all remember or knew this, but it came down to Blaze and Doogie White.
Oh wow!
Doogie was in the running to replace Bruce, and it came down to those two. And I don't know.
I think he would have been a more versatile vocalist.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like what Blaze did on that album anyway, but it would have been really cool to hear Doogie because they did a Maiden tribute album several years back, and Doogie did. I think he did a couple of songs. One of them was "Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter." And he sounded amazing on that cover. So if he had actually joined Maiden, that would have been very interesting.
It probably come down to stage patter and stuff. If you heard the live album, Wolfsbane live album, that's just the flavour of. If you listen to Blaze, he's just brilliant at getting the crowd going. He's just so funny. He's called everyone fat bastard. It's just great, And that's probably possibly why they picked him as being a character rather than just being a singer at the front who doesn't do a lot. I don't know if that's Doogie's style. I don't know, but I should imagine it probably is a bit more like that.
Cool. Thanks, mate. Thanks for that. We were up to Mark, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if any of y'all have an opinion on this band or even know them. If Ralph was here and Darren was here, they would have an opinion for sure. But Hardline Double Eclipse from 1992. They were a little bit late coming on the scene. This was Neil Sean after Journey, obviously after Bad English. This is probably the heaviest thing Neil Sean ever played on. And I've said numerous times, I always thought Neil was good enough to be a metal guitarist. And this was about as close as he ever got to being in a metal band. I wouldn't classify them as metal, but they were hard rock. It was definitely a step above AOR. Had an edge to it. If they'd have come out in the later '80s, this album probably would have been huge. But it came out in '92, and we all know what the hell happened in '92. And shortly after this album, Neil left and eventually reformed Journey. But they released 7 albums over the years with various other players, but nothing ever topped this one.
So he's only on the first one, right?
Yeah. He was that secret weapon. Just phenomenal playing on this album. And this version also had Dean Castronovo and Todd Jensen. So Todd is now the current bass player in Journey, and of course Dean's back in Journey. So technically, this had 3 what would become Journey members in it, and the singer was Johnny Gioeli, and a very good singer. His brother,
and he's on a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Lately, he's got solo records, and he's got I forget the band.
Axel Rudy Pell, and
yes.
He and Dean did a kind of a duet album here a couple of years ago, and anyway, I don't own every other Hardline album. I do have a few of them, but I've listened to all of them, and nothing. There's some good stuff on there. Don't get me wrong, and some good guitarists that came later, but nobody or nothing has topped this one. Just some really catchy. Like I said, this stuff sounds like it would have fit in well with the '80s, but it was just a little late. But very radio friendly, but heavier than Bad English or Journey, hard rock kind of stuff.
To tell you the truth, they probably wouldn't. Hardline probably wouldn't be around now, would they? If Neil Sean wasn't on that. I mean, a lot of people cite that. You could hear all the time that that's easily their best one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and the classic, if you like. So
yeah, he was the draw. When that album came out, like you said, if it'd been anybody else that wasn't as big a name, it probably would have sank without a ripple. But it's got an underground following. It's not well known. I mean, you never hear it on the radio or anything like that. But I know Darren knows them. I know Ralph knows them. So I would have been curious what their opinion on that is. So, guys, if you're watching this, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. Don, what's next, mate?
Well, okay, this one, I don't know how it's going to resonate with the UK audiences. I don't know how much of a mark this record made over here. It is on the local jukebox at the metal bar here in Liverpool. So I know somebody somewhere out there knows it. But if you were growing up in the 70s and you're into hard rock, this was a seminal album and one of the best debut albums of all time. This is Montrose.
Mm.
Now, Montrose featured Sammy Hagar in his very first thing. This was also produced by Ted Templeman, who I'm sure the reason why Van Halen had 10 Templemans because of this album. Because I know when they were young and they were doing those backyard parties and stuff, and you can hear those really muffled tapes online and stuff. They're doing some Montrose tracks, but every song on this is just an absolute stormer. It's just a revolutionary hard rock record. It's one of those that just comes out on the first track and doesn't let up, riff after riff, and just catchy as hell. I would implore anyone that does not know this record, if I've ever said anything on this channel that anybody will take a listen to, get the first Montrose album, Bad Motor Scooter, Space Station Number 9, Make It Last, Rock Candy. I mean, the list just goes on. There's only 8 tracks, but man, it's phenomenal. Sounds as fresh today as it did then, and definitely the best thing that Sammy Hagar's ever done. And I would also guess that probably had a hand in Van Halen picking Sammy to be in the band because of the Montrose record rather than his solo career.
I've actually I listened to the album not so long ago because of Sea of Tranquility, and Pete Pardo keep going on about that album all the time. So it's one of the best heavy rock records. One of the best heavy rock records that's ever been recorded. And apparently, like, the massive gulf of difference between that and the rest of the next album was ridiculous. Like, you know, that was like, it was completely different. And like they said, why did they just not carry on with what they had?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. Yeah.
What did you think of it, Lee?
Yeah, I know. I liked it. I really like it. I didn't listen. I only listened to it through once, but yeah, I thought.
I mean, it's one of those that maybe you had to be there. Maybe, yeah. I don't know, because it was just so fresh at the time. Nothing sounded like it, you know.
When I did listen to it, I was thinking that way. I mean, this came out what 70? What was it?
74, 5.
Yeah.
He's old as me.
Yeah, pretty amazing, really. Sort of probably ahead of its time a little bit, I would say, listening to that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a precursor to, you know, Van Halen and that whole rock scene that was rejuvenated when they got big, you know.
Yeah. They play it on Planet Rock quite a lot, and it's quite funny when Bad Motor Scooter comes on. Is it that or Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue? You can never tell.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, they play on Planet Rock. Excellent.
Cool. Oh, yeah, Montrose, yeah.
All right, excellent.
Thanks for that, mate. I could actually have the oldest album, and that's weird for me, isn't it? I reckon on this program. So I'm going back to 1973, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. So yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, their discography right up to when obviously the tragedy of the plane crash happened. Every one of them, I love every album, but this one is just top to bottom, just like a bit like a hits album, really. So you got Give Me 3 Steps, Simple Man, Tuesday's Gone, Poison Whiskey, which is like an unbelievably brilliant, like sort of heavier song from them, and obviously finishes off with Freebird as well. But I love Skynyrd. You know, I don't actually mind them now, but that period up to when the plane crash happened was just, I love Skynyrd back then. I think they had a real attitude about them as well. Just a brilliant southern rock band. And obviously so many bands now take influence from Skynyrd. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I don't think you'll ever catch, it's like a moment in time, and that first Skynyrd album. The cover as well. When I was looking at albums to choose, I was looking through covers as well last night, and just them in the street, it's just a brilliant cover. I know it's a simple one, but sometimes something like that is just iconic. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, pronounced. Lynyrd Skynyrd, pronounced. I think it's obviously, don't know if you know the story. It's a teacher, isn't it, of theirs? They was at school.
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner or something.
Leonard Skinner or something. Yeah. But yeah. Excellent. That's definitely my oldest, probably the oldest album I ever talk about. Steve. There you go. Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah, you're not a 70s guy for the most part.
No. I mean, I know a lot of people do go back, don't they? I was very stuck in the 80s. I wouldn't go back a lot when I was a kid and listen to older stuff. But I'm like that now, aren't I? So there you go. Right, Jan, we got number 4, mate.
Okay, number 4, I'm going to go one. This might bring up a bit of debate. And this is from 1986, and it is Cinderella.
Yeah.
With Night Songs. Now, I love this. I think it's one of them ones when I was a kid, it's like bought it because of the album cover. I love the font of Cinderella. I just like, well, I've got to own that. You know what I mean? Back in, it probably wasn't 86, but it was around that time. You know, perhaps it's been out a couple of years. I don't know. But
I just wanted the hair. I wanted the hair that they had. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, I didn't have a hair anything like that. Mine was a bit more shit. But no, I mean it's obviously glam metal. Fits right in with 1986. Obviously, Night Songs. I mean, it's pretty heavy. I think it's pretty heavy album. I mean, back home again. The last track on it that could have been on my the show we did about the last track's the best. I think I did might have mentioned actually, isn't it? Honourables, but yeah. But it's got Somebody Save Me. You know, Once Around Nobody's Fool, Shake Me, brilliant. I'm not a big fan of blues rock, as we know, so that's probably why I prefer it to the second album, Long Cold Winter. But I mean, I love some of the stuff on Long Cold Winter. You know, the opening Seamstress Blues into Gypsy Road and all that. It's absolutely brilliant. Didn't particularly like Heartbreak Station, and they have actually done a fourth album, which I must admit I've never actually heard, but I think it came out in the 90s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there's a. I looked up on Wikipedia, like I didn't, because I was going to say, oh no, they've only done 3
no, I
albums
mean,
in my own.
oh wow, you've never heard it. That's
no,
what
no,
I mean.
oh sorry,
wow.
well, no, that's all.
Still climbing, yeah.
Is it any good?
I mean, it's definitely worth hearing. The fourth Cinderella album, definitely. I'm not going to say it's as good as Night Songs, but you know, it's got some great stuff on it.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely with you on that one, Jam. I like that. I prefer that the best, and I think it's the reasons you said. I didn't mind it, but I preferred the less bluesy stuff. That was on more like a sort of a straightforward metal song. And that Night Song, the actual song Night Songs, is just
brilliant.
What a song to open! It's the opening song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's slow beats. Yeah,
it's a weird song to open with. That's a slow sort of medium pace.
Almost got a Sabbathy vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah, I love that.
I'll say Back Home Again, I think, is one of my favourites. That's really heavy. The last one, Back Home Again, is brilliant. I love that. But,
yeah, great choice.
Yeah, lucky enough to see Cinderella once, so I'm quite pleased, because I don't think they come over here that much, but I've seen them once.
Cool. Thanks, mate. I've seen them at Download, actually.
Yeah, that's probably where I saw them.
Donington back 1987. Yeah, 1987. I've seen
I won't tell you how many times I've seen them.
Cool. Okay, Mark.
Okay, this is another one that's hard for me to believe. It's been out 10 years now. In 2013, Ashes of Aries. I know Lee knows them. They're an Iced Earth spin-off band. Matt Barlow, not the original singer, but the classic, most well-known singer, when he left, and Tim Owens replaced him in Iced Earth. Matt and Freddie, I think his last name, Fidelis, one of the many lead guitarists that has been in Iced Earth, formed Ashes of Aries. And this album is, I rank it up there with the best albums that Barlow ever did with Iced Earth. Very heavy from start to finish, just a banger of an album. They've had 2 albums after this. The second one, to be honest, did nothing for me. Just like the songwriting wasn't there. There weren't any songs that were catchy, didn't really grab me. The most recent one came out last year, 2022. It's definitely better than the second one, but not in league with the first one. Again, this is untouchable as far as what they've released so far to me.
Great, totally great. Great album. Cheers, Don.
Okay, what are you on for? You're on 4, yeah. So this is another one that we really had to do some soul searching, but I do have to say this is probably their best album. This is Merciful Fate. First album's called Melissa. The second album is very close. It's about the same between Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, where it just inches. But I have to say Melissa is front to back an essential heavy metal album. And at the time, no one really knew how influential it was going to be. But now they're considered, elder statesmen of heavy metal, thrash metal, whatever huge influence on Metallica, obviously, because they even did the that Fate medley thing where they did like 6 songs together or something. I don't remember. But yeah, it's again, it's one of those that's just kind of the synergy and just the freshness and the electricity just sounds like no one else. I know King Diamond is a very, kind of, you either get him or you don't, his falsettos are unusual. I'm so used to it now, I don't even think about it. But now, I mean, he's been around for so long and he's still putting out stuff and he's still out there touring. I think he's a lot more respected now than he ever was before. Kind of like Udo, people either love or hate Udo's voice, but you can't say that he's sitting back on his laurels, man. He's got a record out all the time and touring and everything. So, yeah, King Diamond's kind of the same way. But I'd recommend the first 2. They broke up after that, but then they've been getting back together sporadically. I think they have about 5 more albums after the initial breakup. But you can't go wrong with either one. But if I have to say they didn't better the first, I have to say yes, Melissa by Merciful Fate.
Oh, thanks, mate. Much appreciated. Okay, so I'm going a bit. I suppose it's not. I just think about the amount of time this was out as well. 2006. It's mad to think about it. But so I'm going Sunstorm, the self-titled album from Jolene Turner. This was a Jolene Turner thing. He was in this band. They've reached nothing like it, in my opinion. The second album was very good as well, but especially now they've got Ronnie Romero fronting Sunstorm. It's nothing like it was at all. I have listened to every Sunstorm album, and even when Jolene Turner, even at the end, they weren't nowhere near this debut album. I know a lot of it was pulled from really early sessions of these songs were written a long time before 2006 as well. So I suppose they got more 80s influence, I suppose, or more than anything. They were ideas that I pulled. Most of it is that. But man, I love this album. Really love it. I mean, Keep Tonight, the opening track is just an absolutely amazing song. You got Night Moves on there, Strength Over Time, This Is My Heart. It's like literally half the album is ballads. I mean, there's loads of ballads on there.
No wonder you love it.
Yeah,
exactly. But Jolene Turner, there's no one better at singing a soulful ballad than Jolene Turner, is there? You know what I mean? And his voice was really, really strong. And I know, because when I heard it back then, I was thinking, well, Jolene Turner's getting on a bit, isn't he? Because you're thinking he's like in the 80s and stuff. But now, he's obviously singing now and he still sounds brilliant. But I like him singing this. He's gone really heavy now, hasn't he? Which is cool. But I think his voice really suits this more melodic AOR type stuff, in my opinion. So
I was blown away when I first heard Sunstorm, because I couldn't believe that he was singing that well, because I hadn't heard him in a few years, just whatever projects he was doing. But yeah, I'm like, he sounds better than he's ever sounded. How is this happening?
I know, that's how I thought. Yeah, especially the opening track. If anyone wants to hear anything off this album, Keep Tonight, the opening track is just mind-blowing. They've had 7 albums out now. 7 albums, and I think 1 or 2 with Ronnie Romero. But obviously, Ronnie, they're taking a bit of stick now, aren't they, over him? The way the band's changed and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And there you go. I think some things are best left. Just stop now. Probably.
A lot of things are best left.
But no, that's a brilliant album. What an album. Won't ever beat it. Sunstorm, self-titled. Okay. Up to number 5, Jan. What you got, mate?
Okay, I'm going to go for my most modern, some 30 years ago in 1993. And this is an obvious one for me, and I'm sure Don will have his opinion. He might agree with me, actually, I don't know. And it's one of my favourite bands, of course, the Wild Hearts, with their debut, Earth versus the Wild Hearts. I've got it on CD, I haven't got it here, so I can't show you. 1993, I wasn't buying records anymore then, but I mean, probably bored of me hearing about the Wild Hearts. They're one of the best bands, never to be massive, in my opinion. Great songwriting, obviously lots of falling out, bit of controversy, got everything. But the first album's got everything. It's poppy hooks, melodies, but heavy as well. I mean, TV Tan, Everlone, Love Shit, Baby is a Head Fuck. This album's so good that Caffeine Bomb wasn't even on it. It's been re-released with it on, but it wasn't even on the album. It was a single around that time. I mean, Love You Till I Dont's got like a Beatles-y feel to it. It's just News of the World. I mean, every song on here is an absolute masterpiece. Love the Wild Heart still, but I just don't think any album consistently is as good as the debut album. Like a lot of bands, you know, they'd had a couple of EPs which I'd got before they actually did an album. And then they just obviously turned that brilliant live show and live playing and songwriting and put it down onto what is a great album and very highly, well, probably not underrated actually. People who know, if you know what I mean. If you like the Wild Hearts, you're going to love that album. So yeah, there we go.
Dom, well, what do you reckon?
It's not my favorite. It's up there. It's way up there. But no, Fishing for Luckies is my favorite.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that even counts as an album, but because it's just, well, I think it does count as an album now. I don't know, but PHUQ is more my type of album. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Earth versus the Wild Hearts. As he said, every song is a banger. There's just some very, very like really fast stuff, and Fuck is more my kind of thing. It's got more kind of quieter passages or whatever. And anyway, but you know, can't go wrong with any.
I've got Wild Hearts t-shirt on. There we go.
Yeah, hey, there we
go. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, mate. Cheers for that. Thanks for the list, by the way. We'll get on to the honourables in a minute. Right, Mark, what's your last one, mate?
All right, from 2014, Sweet and Lynch, Only to Rise. They've got 3 albums out now. The most recent one just came out last month. So I haven't lived with it that long, but it's not going to surpass this one. The second album was horrible, in my opinion. It had one song on it that I liked, a song called Afterlife. There's a song on it called Walk that they released, I guess you would say as a single, because they did a video for it. That is one of the worst fucking songs I've ever heard in my life. By anybody. I can't believe George Lynch and Michael Sweet put their name on that song. Sound like something.
What's the name of the one you hate? What's the name of it?
It's called Walk.
Walk. I'm gonna have to write that down because I have that album, but I have to see what Mark thinks is the worst song ever.
Maybe you have a different opinion, but the vocal has kind of a rap to it, and
oh dear,
it's just very disjointed. I mean, there's no melody. It sounds like they threw it together in 3 minutes, literally. It sounds like somebody just threw a camera on them and said, "Here, you know, freestyle, come up with something," and this is what they came up with. Just horrible.
Yeah, hey Dom, I hope it's not going to be your favorite second album from an artist, you know.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. What if it is?
But anyway, this first album, I don't love every song. There's a couple of them I don't care for, but for the most part, all the songs on this are very good. When I first heard that Michael and George were hooking up, I mean, in my mind, that was a match made in heaven. Because 2 of my favorite bands were basically coming together. You know, 2 of the members of these bands were coming together to create this project. And I thought this was just going to be off the hook. And the first album was. I love it. But when that second one came out, like I said, there's one song called Afterlife that's kind of slow and a little bit Sabbathy, I guess. I like that one, but there's not another song on that album that does anything for me. And the newest one, like I said, it came out a month ago, and it's better than the second one, but it's not as good as the debut to me. You know, again, that's my opinion. But
we touched upon a little bit of that last week, that last album, and I said to the other day, if you watched all the All Killer, I think it was All Killer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It almost George Lynch just sounds like he's half asleep on that new album.
It's not very inspired.
No, even though you are right though, it's better than the second album, and I really like the first one. When it does sound like Stryper and Dokken, or Stryper and Lynch Mob together, that's what it does sound like. you know. But yeah, it's been a bit disappointing since, and nothing to do with, like I said, even the last one, nothing to do with Michael Sweet's vocals or anything like that, but songwriting and fucking George Lynch's, like, I don't know. He's like,
lackadaisical.
He's like, like, fucking hell, George.
I don't know if he's just running out of ideas or what. I mean, he's got a different project every week. I saw just yesterday where he and Pilson are doing another covers album, I think it is.
Yeah.
Like every week there's a new George Lynch project. Maybe just, you know, running out of juice. I don't know.
Well, and every week it's like, right, we don't want to call ourselves Lynch Mob anymore because it's racist. Oh, hold on a minute. I need some money. Let's call ourselves Lynch Mob. What the fuck, you know?
That house is not paying for itself. No, that house is not.
Either stand by what you fucking say or don't. One or the other. You know what I mean? Just Anyway, he made himself look a twat, and he's doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, great choice that though, mate. That is a brilliant album, by the way. I think that is it. September is one fucking.
Yeah, it's one of the best. Yeah,
that is one of my favourite songs from them, without a doubt. It's about 9/11 and stuff, and then all out from that brilliant song. Okay, what you got then, Dom?
Oh boy, I don't know where to go. I have so many choices now.
You can have honorable mentions for the first time ever.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll save a few for honorable mentions. Okay, so I didn't really want to say this one because I was watching All Killer back, and the last time we talked about this band, I don't think Jan was very happy with us. By the look on his face, he looked like he was getting kind of angry.
Muse, it ain't Muse, is it?
Not Muse, is it?
So I'm not going to say much about. I think it's self-explanatory, and it's so obvious. I can't believe that no one has said it already. This was going to be my first one. I thought, no, I'll wait because somebody is going to say it. I can't believe that no one said it. Appetite for Destruction.
What? Oh, I mean, no, listen. I
know it's no Chinese democracy, but
yeah. Thank God.
I don't have much to say about it. You know, I know that Use Your Illusion has your fans, I guess, but the difference between that album and I mean, it's night and day. It's night and day, those two records. The only thing that's similar is, I don't know, they just got bloated and self-important and 10-minute epics, and none of that is on Appetite. Like, you would never even guess that the same songwriters would be, you know, those two. I don't know. It just all went wrong for me personally. But the ironic thing is that I can't even listen to Appetite now because I'm so sick of it. I do like Rocket Queen quite a bit still. I can still hear that and get into it. But, you know, it was one of those records that, you know, I bought it the day it came out, but it didn't really hit for like a year later. So by the time that it became like a #1 record or whatever, I had already had it for a year, and I just, you know, played it to death. So then when I started hearing Sweet Child of Mine 5 times a day and all this kind of stuff, and was like, oh God. And it's been like that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, mate.
Anyway, I think it's just an obvious choice of a band that just completely lost their way, or a man that completely lost his mind, and with success. And anyway.
I'm totally with you. It's almost like my experience with the album is exactly a replica of yours. Had it as soon as it came out, sick and tired of it within the year. Everyone was talking about it, everyone was playing it. I was like, fuck it. I remember Sweet Child of Mine, the first time the video came on MTV, and I was like, fucking sick of this shit now. But I literally played it non-stop. It was the only album I played for like a year.
Yeah, it was great.
And I can't even say welcome. Oh, I can't even fucking say the fucking name without it winding me up. Honestly, I just can't. And I think I think the only song that I could listen to right now, apart from Rocket Queen, is probably like Think About You or something. Is probably another one.
Yeah.
I could maybe listen to, but I couldn't listen to. You have to say it for me.
It's So Easy. I think it's a great song. And You're Crazy. I still listen to them too.
No, listen. I don't think there's any other album that we've all spoken about that has as much impact on me. Honestly, all through, I can't think of it. There ain't another album that has as much impact on me as that album did when it first came out, and it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And also, there's not as much as a gulf in their other material, like all the bands we've spoken about, and how good a debut is compared to the rest. I totally agree with Dom. That he's massively.
Oh, it's like a chasm.
But I literally can't listen to it.
Oh, I will never listen to it again. Don't. I mean, I would never ever put it on by my own volition. You know.
Imagine Welcome to the Jungle. I said it, and then Enter Sandman straight after. That's just fucking. Do you know what I mean? It's just.
And then Living on a Prayer. And then Living on a Prayer. With
Smoke on the Water.
With Final Count. With Final Countdown.
Yeah, Final Countdown.
I mean, I had it on my list.
I got it on my list. Yeah.
I had it on my list, and I just thought that either Jam was going to talk about it. That's what I was thinking, or someone was going to, because it's the obvious one when you're talking about the best debut albums ever.
Yeah,
and one that's better than anything in their discography. I totally agree with all that.
So I waited till 5, but I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much. I'm glad you spoke about it though, because we should do it. It would be a bit of sacrilege, would it not, to say it's a great album?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going for the most classic British band ever out of the 70s, and I know it's going to surprise you. Oh no, it's not. It's Kingdom Come. Sorry.
Oh.
So I'm going to go Kingdom Come.
Really?
Because I think their debut album, although their next album was In Your Face, was excellent. It had the best album title, to Kingdom Come In Your Face. It's just perfect, isn't it? But Kingdom Come, the debut album, absolutely love it. Everything about it. Where you spoke about freshness there, I've listened to that Kingdom Come album loads, and I can put it on now and it sounds brilliant to me. It just sounds excellent. 1988, this came out, produced by Bob Rock. I didn't know that actually.
Early Bob Rock.
Yeah, I was looking at it last night. Obviously, Lenny Wolf was the singer. Got a load of stickers, you know. I mean, if you go on Wiki, because I was looking about the album, it gives you subjects, doesn't it? It says discography, band members, and it says Led Zeppelin comparisons. It actually says it's one of the titles. It says it on Wiki. Yeah.
Well, you can't deny it.
But yeah, no, you can't. Living Out of Touch, What Love Can Be, one of the best ballads ever written, and some of the highest singing you'll ever hear at the end of that. But my two favourites on that whole album, which were probably like almost the deeper cuts, I suppose, Now Forever After, and Shout It Out at the end of the album as well, is just amazing album. Really brilliant. I don't think that, for me, they never hit the heights of that album, but this next album tried, and Hands of Time was also good. And then after that, I think, it was okay, but never.
And a murky waters after that.
Very, very murky waters. So that's it for me. That's my 5. Let's go around the houses. This is if you've got anything left, Jan.
Yeah, I've got a few. I'm going to say a couple of words about a couple, and then I'll just do the list. But this is a similar story. This band was called a clone of Pearl Jam. That's Stone Temple Pilots with Core. I don't really see the similarities, particularly with Pearl Jam. It was around that time. Obviously, it was released in 1992. But Core's just a rock and roll heavy album for me. I love everything on it. Dead and Bloated, brilliant. Yeah, sex type thing. I love the Wet My Bed, Cracker Man. Those two songs fit right together. And yeah, I love everything about this. A lot of people prefer Purple, obviously, for Stone Temple Pilots, but Core is always the best. The other one is Thunder, Backstreet Symphony. Love this album. Yeah, they've done some great stuff and they're still going. And obviously, Daddy Gets Better Soon, but Don't Wait For Me is on this, which is a ballad for me, but it's one of the best ballads. I love that album. And then I had Guns N' Roses, obviously, on there. That was on my list. But Blackstone Cherry's debut album, brilliant. Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, never got better than that. Love Hate, Blackout in the Red Room, Rage Against the Machine debut, Audio Slave, The Almighty, Blood, Fire and Love, Black Crows, Shake Your Money Maker, and Choir Boys, a little bit of What You Fancy.
Very
wow,
good.
quite a list,
mate. Yeah, there's a few there. Where you got them up? Anything?
Yeah, I've got a few I'll run through here real quick. This is one that I had pulled in case Darren was here because I know he would have an opinion on it. Daughtry, the debut album. No, he's not really metal. He's an American Idol alumni, but guy's got an amazing voice. That first album was a good mix of radio-friendly rock with some hard rock influence. He had a song that Slash played on that's got, a little bit of edge to it, but amazing singer. I saw him, they were here in town 5 or 6 years ago and put on a really good show, a lot heavier live than they sound on the album. I know Darren likes them. I'll be curious to see Lee's opinion on this one. Tremonti, All I Was. I love all the albums he's done, but that first one, again, that's one I can throw in from start to finish. Just from start to finish, great album. He's got a voice like a crooner, but a lot of this stuff is very thrashy as well. Nobody sounds like he does. He's got his own niche there. Like I said, he's got a crooner kind of voice. I don't know if any of you have heard the Sinatra.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I mean, he could be doing any kind of music he wants. In fact, he's coming out with a Christmas album I saw the other day. Just a incredible voice and a very aggressive player. What were you gonna say?
I'd say Dom's laughing there, but yeah, I mean, you can understand it after he'd done the Sinatra thing. I think he donated everything from that Sinatra album to his because his kid, I didn't know, she's Down syndrome, isn't she?
Yeah, I believe I did read
but
that.
everything he donated from that Sinatra, and he sounds, I mean, I'm not a Sinatra fan, my dad was.
Right.
But listening to him sing Sinatra was just pretty fucking out there, wasn't it? It was like, it sounded amazing. And you can understand the Christmas thing now, although I won't be listening to it. I can sort of understand it at the same time because of his voice. Do you know what I mean? But he can sing metal. It's a really strange thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, he can sing anything. He's one of those sing the phone book kind of guys.
Yeah.
Then I got a couple of other quick ones here. This is one I wasn't going to mention because I know nobody's ever heard of it, but this is probably the only opportunity I'll ever get to mention this band, Sea of Souls. It's a band from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I saw them back in '93, I think it was. They opened for Ace Frehley. I'd never heard of them. Incredibly heavy band. They've had 5 or 6 albums out since, but nothing to top that one. Back to Blaze Bayley, the debut Blaze album, Silicon Messiah. I like all his stuff, but I think he really captured lightning in a bottle on that first solo album. And then Demons and Wizards, the debut album, which was John Schaefer of Iced Earth and Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian. They've got 3 albums out now. The first one is by far the best in my opinion. That's all I got.
I mean, you were struggling, weren't you? Once you start looking, mate, you can find stuff.
Well, most of these I knew wouldn't be very well known, so I kind of held them back. But anyway.
Well, I've got 3 on here that I thought about, which is I've been doing the fucking show, which is pissing me off more than anything. But there you go. Right, Dom, what you got, mate?
Well, I'm similar to Mark. I kind of tried to make mine bands that are pretty well known, but I've got tons of stuff from like the 80s and 90s or whatever. Probably the biggest one is Poison. For me, Look What the Cat Dragged In. Absolutely their best album.
Yeah.
Again, it's got that raw energy. They definitely got more professional as the records went on, and more ballady as the records went on. But man, when they came out with that look and just the choreography move, I mean, I was sold. I thought they were excellent. So yeah, Look at the Cat Dragged In for me. The others I won't spend much time on. Bullet Boys, Tora, Love Hate I had as well. Badlands, Arcade, Circus of Power, and the last one, which is really probably in my top 10 records, maybe of all time. That's hard to say. It's hard to say, but Masters of Reality, the first album that was on Deaf American, man, front to back, just completely incredible. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Excellent, excellent. And honourable mentions, and Dom don't usually do them, does he? Honourable killer, you don't, yeah, but,
I know I had a lot of.
So I've got FM Indiscreet, 1986, their debut album. I mean, Tough It Out is a lot of FM fans' favourite album, but I think Indiscreet is, it might be like it's almost like a moment in time for me, I suppose. It's like, it means something to me more than any other album of theirs. Sure. I agree with Mark, by the way, on Tremonti. I had that on my list. Although the last album was fucking close.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Also, one that, see, this is, I'm sort of breaking my own rules a little bit here because I'm surprised that no one had this, because I'm fighting with myself whether it is the best album, and I still am, and that's Van Halen's debut.
Yeah, yeah. I thought about it.
It's almost
I thought somebody was going to have that.
I really love Fair Warning though. I really love it. It's a fucking difficult one, but I mean it's almost like I can't listen to You Really Got Me anymore. I can't listen to that song. That would be straight after fucking Welcome to the Jungle and then to Sandman. Then You Really Got Me would be next. You know what I mean? Or Jump.
I don't like that Ice Cream Man song. That annoys me.
I actually quite like that one.
I completely understand.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, I have heard it. That whole album I've heard quite a lot. If I had to listen to something off that album, it'd be Feel Your Love Tonight or something like that. I can't listen to Ain't Talk About Love. Oh my fucking God. Guys, it's been excellent fun though, and of course we always get loads of people joining in, don't we, on the Bottom Barrel Killers. So this is quite a intriguing one and a hard one. So remember, anyone who's joining in, even though we cheated a few times, like I said, I just mentioned Van Halen. I mentioned it, but maybe I shouldn't have done because I wasn't sure. It's got to be your favourite album is the debut, and they haven't topped it since.
Listen to your heart, people. Listen to your heart.
Oh, Roxette. Yeah, I should have done that. Oh.
No. But that wasn't on their debut album.
Oh, I don't fucking know, do I? I was just guessing. Guys, thank you very much for joining me, as usual. And Mark, thank you very much for getting up at 5:15.
Yeah, usually the only thing that would get me up this early is I would be sitting in a tree with a rifle across my lap. So that shows how much I love you guys.
The little animals can survive for another day.
Yeah, you know what, guys? We saved an animal today. So
that's we have. Yeah.
They're practically vegans.
It's not hunting season yet, so they're safe for a little while.
Oh, right. Okay. No, quite a sacrifice for you to get up at 6 a.m. So go take a nap.
Oh, well.
Guys, thank you very much as usual. And I'll see you soon, guys.